welcome you to the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Today we're going to be talking about this never-ending saga that seems to be derailing Donald J. Trump from the presidency of the United States. Well, it has happened again. Crazy things surrounding the Trump man. I'm Phil Taylor Jones, your host, and let's jump into this craziness right now. The other day I was watching telly and found out about this massive protest that went on in Chicago. And the next morning, yesterday morning, I got up to internet news that Secret Service personnel had to rush the stage where the Donald was speaking because of some creepy guy who is thought to be maybe connected with ISIS or at least, you know, an admirer of this group, trying to rush the stage for whatever reason, whether it be a bona fide threat or just to cause trouble or dissension at Donald's rally. And then today I find out that a reporter, his name is Sopan Deb of CBS, was arrested, supposedly accused falsely because he wouldn't, comply with the police officers. It was a bad arrest. Well, when something like that breaks, a protest or something where there's imminent or could be imminent danger to the public, the police outrank everybody there, even news whores. So he supposedly, or allegedly, as they say, resisted arrest. Well, if a police officer tells you to move, I don't care who you are, you move. We had a similar incident here in California where these foreigners were doing what they called a May Day protest. Not 6 blocks away from where I live, in a place called MacArthur Park. All hell broke loose. And the police told these reporters to move. They refused. They were still there with the camera. So the police took action and moved them. They too went on to, complain, oh, police brutality. They arrested us falsely. They beat us. They did this to us. Again, when there is imminent danger, a police officer's job is to get the area clear, get the area secure. Doesn't matter whether you are a news whore or not. This Sopan Deb supposedly covered the Donald ever since he broke the news that he was running for the presidency. And he's incurred many horrible things. He's been called a terrorist or a member of ISIS by one of the Trump man's supporters, and he went on to chronicle other incidences, and it was just terrible. I've never even been to Iran. I've never been through anything like this before in my life. Look, pal, you're a news whore. You don't have to cover the Donald if you don't want to. Nobody's holding a gun to your head, I don't guess, down there at CBS. So you can maybe ask to be, assigned another news assignment. You don't have to stay with Donald if you're undergoing so much, torture. And let's look at this this creep that rushed the stage the other day. Was he really there for what he said he was? To get a reaction from the Donald's, camp? Let's also look at this business on Friday, what happened with this rally. It was so organized. Handwritten signs? No. Professionally printed ones, with the printers union even at the bottom. And so quick, at a heartbeat. Now, we know that there can be these flash mobs and what have you due to social media, but somehow that doesn't pass the smell test. It all takes us back to something that happened the night of the debate, or shall we say, the afternoon before the debate. or maybe even a day before the debate. Remember the name Jeb Bush and this meeting that he had with the Republican candidates? Or, let me correct myself, all of the Republican candidates except for Donald Trump. Yeah, we perhaps thought maybe something was going to break loose there at the debate. Didn't happen there. All takes me back to something that our grandmother told us as we were kids growing up, my brother and I. Stay away from the bushes. Nasty things lurk within the bushes. Let's talk about the bushes for a bit. I know that may be painful for some, certainly is for me, but I have to bring them in to make my point. Remember when Herbert Walker Bush, old man Bush, was in office and he had his little tete-a-tete with Saddam Hussein? I like to refer to him as Sad Man Insane. And he came away from that, well, shall we say, with not the expected result. Enter George W. Bush. His main purpose for getting into office, and everybody knows it, was to vindicate his dried up father. How dare they do that to my father? I'm going to get Saddam Hussein if it's the last thing I ever do. And that he did. Did he do it honestly and fairly? I don't know. There's a question mark there. Weapons of mass destruction and all of this stuff never materialized. But yet, he led us into a war with Saddam Hussein. Okay. Enter Jeb Bush. During these debates, it was the Donald who exposed his brother as the not so glowing Republican that the Bush family may want to portray him as. That he did a lot of strange stuff that led us into a war that we should not be in. That is still nipping at our heels. And I remember something that Jeb said. And he was quite pissed. He was visibly pissed. I mean, his face was redder than a fully ripe strawberry on a spring day. I don't care what he says about me, but to go after my family. And if his eyes had been daggers, Donald Trump would have been dead. Now, who else in either party, Republican or Democrat, after dropping out of the race, has took it upon themselves to meet with the remaining candidates? I kind of researched it. I can't find any. Now, there have been candidates that have supported or thrown their support to others, but not meet with them. The Bush family, or at least the younger brothers, the older and younger brother, seem to be very vindictive, maintaining that I'm going to get you, sucker, attitude. He meets with 3 candidates, 2 of which are foreigners that have this abhorrent feeling, this hatred, if you will, of Donald Trump. Kasich, too. I'm not leaving him out. He's a little sneaky with his. But yeah, him too. He meets with them. And the focus, I would imagine, would have been, forget the debates. We're going to go after this man everywhere he goes. We're going to throw monkey wrenches in his campaign. We're going to make him look like the most evil, the most demonic, the most violent person that has ever run for the office of president, therefore making the people believe that he should not be president. You see where I'm going with this? Putting plants in there, organizing these anti-rallies against Trump. Who can do it? The Bushes got plenty of money. And just like a police officer, you look for motive, you look for opportunity, and you look for means. They've got the means. They got money. They own oil wells and things. They've got the motive. Donald Trump insulted his brother and therefore his father. So he has that in his craw against the Trump man. And they have the opportunity because they're very well connected. At a heartbeat, you can get these president or these anti-president rallies going and throw people in there. And what's going to happen? Naturally, there's Secret Service, there are the local police, there are the state police at these rallies because Donald draws a huge crowd. And at the moment something snaps, they're on these agitators like a tick on a dog. And who's there to soak it up? The news whores. Are they going to tell the story right? No. They're going to take what they need to make the Donald look bad because they too are part of this establishment against him. I've never seen anything like this before in my time on this planet. This is sick. It is depraved. As I said before, it's borderline psychotic. Even Bernie Sanders hooked up in it, sending his people down there and saying that Donald's people are mean and all of this, hooked up in it. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. And I'm saying, as the saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures. They're desperate to get the Trump man out. So I wouldn't put it past the Bushes, Jeb in particular, to even go to the political side of the opposite side of the political fence, to the Democrats, to Slithery and Bernie, and enlist their help in destroying the Trump man. I wouldn't be surprised. Donald Trump, if you're listening out there, buddy, because perhaps you have your people in your organization listen to anything with your name on it, and this show certainly is about you. I know that you got your ears on and operating on all 9 cylinders, but be ever diligent with your own organization that there aren't moles in there feeding these devious people information about you. To the Trump family, guard extra well your husband and your father, because we obviously are dealing with very sick-minded, devious people. Devious. Will do anything. Rafael Cruz, if your people are listening, or if you're listening yourself, I have a challenge for you, pal. You were so gung-ho, you and your little friend, Little Mike, for Donald Trump to release his tax records, for him to release this alleged tape that has him supposedly flip-flopping on the pitiful subject of immigration. Because the voters have a right to know. Okay, here's my challenge to you, you ingrate, you insignificant little politician. Here's my challenge. You release what was said at the meeting between Jeb Bush and you and your other cohorts. Why? Because the voters have a right to know. Can you do that? Will you do that? I think not, because you're so far down in the slime pit that you can't even claw your way up to the top. But the people are watching. The people aren't stupid. And everybody in this country is not against Donald Trump. Just like everybody in this country is not against Slithery Clinton. But you've shown yourself to be an unfair and unjust person. You shouldn't even be in the race, Rafael Cruz. But because we have no ethics in this country anymore, you're still there, just like your friend Slithery Clinton. I was just looking at the sports world the other day. This tennis star, Karapova or something, whatever her name is, she obviously got hung up in a drug scandal. She claimed that she, like others, wasn't knowledgeable about what she was taking. And she didn't know that it was against the drug policy. But guess what? She's out. Can't play tennis anymore for a while. I mean, I haven't researched the story, so I don't know if she is definitely or completely out, or whether she's out for a given amount of time, but she's out. I think the exec has been doing a little research for us here.
Name is Maria Sharapova.
Yeah, Maria Sharapova. Has she been kicked out indefinitely or just for a certain amount of time? While he researches that, I'll just go on with what I'm saying. It was firmly understood that Mr. Rafael Cruz in Iowa had some unfair, shady dealings having to do with whether or not Ben Carson's campaign was affected. Obviously, he was into it because he apologized to Ben Carson during the debate. Why would you apologize for something you're not guilty of? Having said that, I go back to my original question. Why is he still in the race? Where in the hell are the ethics in this country? You did something crooked. You did something underhanded. You did something that was not worthy of a candidate running for president. You're out. Oot, oot, oot. See you next time. Go to the showers, pal. Slithery Clinton, under investigation as we speak for some crooked email dealings, among other things. Yet she's the front runner of the Democratic Party for President of the United States. That in and of itself, ladies and gentlemen, shows that this country has gone to hell in a handbasket. That we're going to put known crooks, shady people in the White House to run the country. What does that say to the rest of the world? That the American public or the American politicians can't be trusted. And I will go back to the American public can't be trusted either, because what? They're the ones that helped put them in there. Knowing, full knowledge that they're crooks, that they're shady at the very least. Why would you do that? Why would you put an ugly stain on our nation? Now, these are establishment politicians. And they don't want Donald Trump going in there, or any non-establishment politician to go in there and do something that they've been saying that they can't do for all this time. Running up huge debts that we'll never be able to pay off. Sending all our jobs away. Not taking care of our veterans. Not equipping the soldiers that we do have to adequately go in and win the war. In fact, with the things that old bastards been doing, actually handcuffing them. Oh, well, you can go over there and be in a war, but you can't kill them. Or there's some artwork in that building, some precious artwork. You can't bomb that building. Who the hell cares about artwork when people's lives are at stake? They're over there with massive guns and what have you pointing at our servicemen, but our servicemen can't shoot back because they're hiding behind a museum with some artwork in it? That's crazy. And that's why they don't want Donald Trump. Exec, what do you got?
She actually has been given a provisional ban kicking in from March 12th yesterday. She's not allowed to play at all. And also her sponsors, Porsche, is thinking of kicking her too.
Okay, there you go. You heard the exec. She's out. Because she took some drugs that was basically on her. But it's a rule. It's a regulation. You don't take what they consider to be physical enhancing drugs, because that will give you an unfair advantage over the other sportsmen. Well, if that's something in sports, and that's just a game for people to watch, it has no real bearing on our lives. It's just entertainment. We're talking about the presidency of the United States, which puts our lives right in the forefront, because the decisions that these people make will affect our lives in this country and it will affect our lives and how we're viewed around the world. This is a very important position, perhaps the most important. And you're going to put somebody in there that has a question mark. I'm not expecting perfection, because as we are imperfect human beings, there is no perfect person to put in the White House. But at least you don't put somebody in there that has such a criminal record. A criminal record. Has known people to come up missing or imprisoned because you messed with the Clintons. To have somebody in there whose citizenship is of question. Is he a Canadian citizen or is he an American citizen? Question marks. You know Donald Trump is an American citizen. He was born here, grew up here, went to school here, has business here. And again, I say, because all these people are so much against him now, trying to make him out to be this violent person that is backed by violent people, and you don't know what's going to happen. Oh, now the towns that he comes and holds his rallies in. Oh, we're so afraid because he's such a violent person, and he harbors violent people, hate speeches, and xenophobia, and homophobia, and Muslimophobia, and all of this crap. Jeb Bush, you're a washed up has-been. You know that your political career is toast. And what do? You perpetuate all of this garbage. Getting back, just like your brother did at Sad Man Insane in Iraq, you're doing the same thing to Donald Trump. You should be ashamed. And like I said, your mommy should take your little pants down and tan your little fanny and put you to bed and give you your teddy bear so that you can have a timeout. I mean, how childish, how luciferous can you be to want to go and perpetuate such garbage on a person just because nobody likes you? Obviously, because you're out and he's still in. We got to keep an eye on this one, folks. As we go into, in a couple of days, we'll be into the second part of Super Tuesday. And again, wherever the Donald goes, I'm pretty sure that Jeb Bush's people are going to be there, digging up dirt, sending out these little flash mobs to make it appear that he is a violent person. Follow your gut. Read between the lines. Know that these news whores, it is their job to go out and not report the story as it is, but to report the story as they're instructed to by whomever, whether it be the liberal-driven news media itself, or whether it be these politicians that are not only career, but these mainstream folks who just want to keep their little playhouse together so that they can skim money, off the general pot to make it appear that they're doing something when they're really not, to keep their good old boys society together. Follow your gut. If you believe that the Trump man should be president, ignore the dumb crap and go out and vote for him. Don't be fooled. We've been fooled so many times. We've been fooled by nice suits and great orators and slick slogans and phrases. And it's got nowhere but in a very horrible direction from where it already was in the past 8 years. Don't be fooled again. If you think that this man, Donald J. Trump, is the man with a plan that can get in there and stop what's been so wrong for so long, follow your gut. Give him your vote. Give him your support. Not only on Tuesday, but until he takes the oath to enter 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Exec, you got anything?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to chime in on how crazy and psychotic, as you mentioned, that this is, that he's going through all this trouble, to mess someone's campaign trail up just because, he didn't like that he was beaten and everything. It almost surprises me, and then it doesn't, what great lengths people will go to try to hurt and put somebody down and everything. It's ridiculous. He needs to just give up the ghosts and everything. He's down, but he's not out, obviously. Mm-hmm. And speaking of the people that he had the meeting with, Rubio has literally reneged on his pledge to support Trump if he gets a nomination. It shows you what a good person he is, what kind of man he is. He keeps his word. Mm-hmm. As our grandmother taught us, your word is your rep, your word is your reputation. If you can't keep your word, what kind of man are you? And obviously he doesn't know how to keep his word, so he's not trustworthy at all. It proves that what Donald said was true, that he's a liar. And to go through all this trouble of spend all this money and everything to try to mess someone up just because you think he's bad for the country is just ridiculous, and shows you how nuts people can get nowadays. And mm-hmm. He's cracked. You need to go to the fourth floor of the hospital, wherever floor the mental place is.
He's on the sixth floor.
Sixth floor. He lost it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, again, I echo your statements. I have never seen anything like this before in my entire life. And I mean, this could even make a television audience. If this were a movie, it would make TV audiences go, oh, it's crazy. And like I said, the veracity at which they're going after this one person makes you wonder why they're doing it. When there's Clinton, who has done much worse than he could ever do. Of all the things they're claiming about Donald J. Trump, never have I heard out of anybody's mouth that he was the person that got 4 innocent Americans killed in Benghazi. Mm-mm. That alone should overshadow anything that Donald Trump has ever done in his life. Not one time, out of all of this stuff that these people are perpetuating against this man, not one time have I ever heard anybody say that he killed 4 people in Benghazi. But yet, he's the one, he's the butt end of everybody's joke. He's the one they're demonizing. He's the one they're trying to take down. They have made that a paramount event that this man must fall. Follow your gut. Vote for the Trump man. Support the Trump man.
I just forgot to mention that this reneging on his pledge happened after this Jeb Bush meeting. Seemingly that's coincidental. I'm not sure if the other ones have done the same thing, but if it does happen, we'll bring it to you first here at the show. But I wouldn't be too surprised if that happens also. Everybody else reneges on their promise to, support him and everything. Mm-hmm.
And on that score, before we end the show, again, I say to you, Rafael Cruz, don't you open your damn mouth again about the Donald's tax records or this supposed tape that the New York Times has, unless you are willing to divulge to the American public what went on with the Jeb Bush meeting between you and he and Rubio and Kasich. You got that? I challenge you, you piece of crap. We thank you for joining us at the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Sorry I had to get so angry there, but this just infuriates me. Please join us again. Subscribe to us if you so feel inclined, and circle us on Google+. We're over there, shaking things up over there. And if you're already on Google+, perhaps on a more kinder and gentler, happier note, you can join us in our community called Passions, where we don't really talk about political stuff. We talk about the things we love and the things that make us happy. And on that score, you try to be happy, and hey, we got a new week coming up. Make it a good one. Get out and vote for the Trump man, and we'll see you next time right here on the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Bye-bye.